morning and welcome to Business Today from our Kaduna studios. I am Umar Kaltungo. Now let's get down to the business. The 2 trillion naira proposed to be raised from the contributory pension fund for investment in infrastructure development will be through bonds now. Now this is not free money. Let's get that one clear. It's not free money, and it's through investment as bonds. It is not like the federal government will just dip hands into the pension fund and begin to spend the 2 trillion naira. No. When it is raised and invested, it means the private sector can also access the money, use it for investment or infrastructure. Now, the National Economic Council had come up with the idea of using part of the 10 trillion naira accrued to the pension fund for investment in infrastructure, particularly roads and railways. Now, at its first meeting for the year, which was chaired by Mr. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo last week, a NEC committee headed by the governor of Kaduna State, that is Nasiru El-Rufai, presented an updated report to the session. Now, the NEC said there will be returns on investment and the principal can be recovered as well. So the process continues as against allowing the pension money to lie just idle like that. But the pension fund was contributed by both workers and the government as stipulated by law. But the money is not for workers alone. This is what Nigerians should know. The Vice President's office confirmed in Abuja that the 2 trillion naira was among key discussions at the last NEC session. Alright, moving on now, let's go on to how much Nigeria has earned in the oil and gas sector, talking about debt profile. Now, Nigeria's earnings from the oil and gas sector rose marginally by about 3% year on year to about 5.536 trillion naira in 2019 from 5.39 trillion naira in the 2018 fiscal year. But the CBN disclosed this in its latest quarterly economic report, adding that oil and gas earnings accounted for about 54.2% of total federally collected revenue of about 10.21 trillion naira in 2019. Now you can see, which is a 54.2%, which is quite an achievement. But further analysis showed that the amount the country earned from the oil and gas sector represented 62.06% of the federal government's 2019 budget estimate of 8.92 trillion naira. Now, according to the Apex Bank, oil revenue stood at about 1.41 trillion naira on the first quarter of 2019, representing 4.1% quarter on quarter when compared with the 1.47 trillion naira recorded in the preceding quarter, that is the quarter 4 of 2018. Now, oil revenue, however, dropped by 12.93% quarter on quarter to about 1.219 trillion naira in the second quarter of 2019. But oil revenue appreciated slightly by about 9.93% quarter on quarter to about 1.34 trillion naira in the third quarter, and further rose by about another 16.4% quarter on quarter to about 1.56 trillion naira in the fourth quarter. But given a further breakdown of the components of the country's earnings from the oil sector, the CBN disclosed that crude oil and gas exports at about 398.64 billion naira accounted for just about 0.07% of totally federally collected revenue, while earnings from petroleum profit, tax royalties stood at about 3.529 trillion naira, which is accounting for about 63.75% of totally federally collected revenue in 2019. But other oil earnings comprising education tax, customs special levies, federation and non-federation, that is talking about customs levies. Now, the National Information Technology Development Fund, that is NITF, solid minerals, other mining revenue stood about 1.609 trillion naira, representing 29.06% of total earnings in 2019. But before we go on the short break now let's look at the 15% revenue to GDP target that the Honorable Minister of Finance is talking about. The Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Hajia Zainab Ahmed, has restated ongoing plans by the federal government to achieve revenue to GDP ratio of about 15% targeted for 2023 fiscal year. The minister reiterated that the President Buhari-led administration's determination to meet the target in her remarks at Deloitte. This is in her remarks in a Deloitte 2020 Economic Outlook Conference, which focused on economy, infrastructure, fiscal policies, and revenue growth initiatives. This event was held in Lagos. Now, Ahmed said the fresh economic growth plans implied that the country will, by the year in focus, triple its revenue to GDP ratio, which currently stands at about just 8%. She also maintained that the target remained feasible with implementation of the Finance Act accompanying the yearly budget in the years ahead. Now, speaking from infrastructural perspective, the Minister for Transportation, that is Rotimi Amechi, announced that the construction of the Port Harcourt to Maiduguri Railway, adding that the project will start with the total reconstruction of the entire rail corridor. Now, the minister disclosed further that the industrial park, an industrial park, had been added to the initial design. While responding to a question on access to roads to the rail stations, Amechi said the duty of federal government was to build the railways, while the state governments have the responsibility of providing access road to the stations. But the Chief Executive Officer of Deloitte Nigeria, Mr. Fatai Folarin, said that Nigerian Economic Outlook Forum remain an annual event organized by Deloitte to provide insights into the economic direction for the year by reviewing monetary and fiscal policies, as well as other key initiatives of government at all levels. But let's take a short break now. When we come back, and we'll look at the poverty rates, which according to the Nigeria Economic Summit Group has increased to about 35%. Don't go away. We'll be right back. Now let's move on finally let's move on to the micro, medium and small enterprises and their relationship with the Development Bank of Nigeria. Now, in the last 18 months, the DBN, that is Development Bank of Nigeria, has disbursed a total of about 133 billion naira to micro, small and medium enterprises operators across the country. The DBN Managing Director, Mr. Tony Okwanachi, disclosed this at the Nigerian Export-Import Bank South-South Enlightenment and Engagement Forum in Asaba, Delta State, with the theme Maximizing Export Potentials of the Region for Economic Growth. Now, Okwanachi said no fewer than 100,000 MSMEs in the country benefited from the 133 billion naira through participating financial institutions. According to him, the bank disbursed the fund through 27 participating financial institutions in the country. Now, in the South-South region alone, the bank has disbursed about 20 billion naira to 15,000 MSME operators, while in Delta State, it has disbursed about 3.1 billion naira to 3,000 operators. Now, the DBN in 2020 has helped to build capacity for training by training of about 100 MSMEs in Lagos Business School. Now, he said that as a finance institution, the bank had the reach to access over 120 million US dollars to drive investment in the country. According to him, the bank provides access to MSMEs that brace up to the ethics and standards on investment in all sectors of economy, including the non-oil sector. The managing director noted that the MSME sector was still men-dominated and called for more women to venture into the sector. He encouraged the investors to take advantage of the financing infrastructure available in DBN to raise their investment and key into the export potentials in the country. Talking about MSME's potential to grow the nation's economy, and of course the issue of access to finance for these entrepreneurs, I met a young graduate of mathematics who chose to answer the resounding call for self-reliance. He chose to be a shoemaker. Now imagine a mathematician shoemaker who had an interesting story about his dream of becoming a shoemaker. from childhood. This dream has been with him from childhood. Now I called this dogged determination to fulfill one's dream. Let's meet Qasim Abdusalam Baba.
Michael, yes, sir. I have pinned this to fix it.
To me, it's quite a long story and a very interesting one.
Let's hear you.
While I was in my 300 level, though ever since I was a kid, I've had passion to create job for people. I've always wanted to help people as much as possible. So while I was in my 300 level, I was gisting and discussing with a friend, and we were talking about life after graduation of school.
Yes.
So I just told him that honestly I would want to become a shoemaker, and he was like, why shoemaker after you're studying mathematics? And mathematics is a very good course. They have few people that study the course, so the possibility of you getting a job will be there. It's easier than other courses. So I told him, I said, I have passion for shoes, and through this I can be able to employ people to help myself and at the same time help my nation, sir. So that was why I chose the shoemaking path, sir. At first the patronage started coming slowly, because Nigerians, we tend to want to look down on our made in Nigeria product. But as someone that's a bit learned and exposed, I have that experience, and I make sure my product meets up the 21st century standard quality. So by the time people started seeing that this thing they are going out to buy, or this thing they think it's foreign, we can also do it here. And the presidential campaign of Buy Made in Nigeria to help the Naira grow also played a huge part in making us achieving good success of patronage. So far so good. I'll say the patronage is fair. Yeah, we use all sorts of materials that you can think of: leather, skin, fabric, rubber, all just to create fashion styles. Fashion is a trend, and styles varies according to the trend. So we go as far as Lagos, Aba, Kano, Sokoto, all just to source for raw material to give our customers the best end product. I will say for now I have not benefited directly, because I have not been able to access any loan or grant yet, but we're hoping in the nearest future, by God's grace, we can access that and use it to scale our business to become bigger, by God's grace.
But have you approached places like Bank of Industry for financial support or something, or is it that you don't need the financial support?
Nobody will say they don't need financial support, sir. And honestly, I wouldn't coming out to say I have it's a lie. I have not approached any financial institution for loan, grant, or anything, honestly. So that I would say it's more of my fault than that of the government, because I won't come out to blame the government the way other people do, sir. So it should be more of my fault, sir. So far so good. For the pace and speed at which we are growing, it's a bit encouraging, but if we have extra funds, it will help us grow faster, enable us to get more machines, and enable us to produce more, increase our number of production. It will help us to reduce cost and a whole lot of so many factors. So one shouldn't just sit down and say he's okay where he is. We're never okay. We need to keep striving to become better than where we were yesterday, and it's something, as you can see, we're trying to build a global brand, not just a local brand. We're trying to build something that will go out of the shore of Nigeria. So having extra fund from the government will be huge, or help us boost that step faster than just waiting until when you make capital before you turn it over back again into the business. As an individual, for myself, the turnover is fair. Just the way I told you, I can't just settle for whatever is coming in. Every day I'm thinking of how to grow, I'm thinking of raising a family, I'm thinking of settling my parents and other black tax attached to me as a man. So for now, as an individual, the turnover is fair, and we're trying to look at a way how we can build that to become better than how it is at the moment, sir. Yes, sir. The product is branded with my brand and my logo, which I have registered the brand with the Corporate Affairs Commission, sir. Yes, sir. I tend not to really answer that question directly, but I'll answer it indirectly. I always tell people I'm a Nigerian, and that is what is most important. And my parents are from Kogi State. So that's how I answer such questions. I tell people I'm a Nigerian and my parents are from Kogi State, because I believe we are one Nigeria, and Nigeria is for all of us, sir. Definitely, sir. Definitely, sir. There is nothing on earth that is not mathematics, sir. Everything is required calculation. If you want to cook, you need to know what to add, at what quantity. All these are mathematics. So people always tell me, you've left mathematics for shoemaking, and I tell them, no, I'm still practicing mathematics, because I have to calculate, I have to cut patterns, I have to understand what XYZ can make this shoe. So we still do differential equation to get a shoe and all that. So I'm still practicing mathematics, sir, and we're all practicing mathematics, sir. Definitely, sir. To me, I believe the life of the Gucci, the Pradas, they all started like this, and today they've been a world-known brand. So the thing is, just the way I say, we're trying to grow a global brand. We're not just settling for less. It's not going to cater only me, it's going to cater for a lot of Nigeria. The Nigerian leather industry by the year 2025 will be worth $25 billion. It's a huge industry. It's going to create at least nothing less than 700,000 direct jobs to individual, and the value chain is large. So there's a whole lot of job opportunity there. So we need to sit into this and look into it, then see how we could tap from that resources. 2025 is just 5 years away from now. So if I'm in a $25 billion worth industry, it says it all, sir. Formally, what we'll do is we'll just do part-time training. People that their parent come speak to us. We saw you, we know you're doing good, we want you to take our son. So that's the kind of training we're doing. But this year, let me say this first, I have not told people this. This year, we were setting up a place strategically and purposely for just strictly training, to train people, because just the way I say, we've understood the Nigerian leather industry will be worth 25 billion in 5 years time. So, and majority of our leather come from the north. So what we're trying to do, we're trying to set up a leather hub. We're not just restricting it to just basic shoes like this. We're looking at building something that will last long, create job opportunity for a whole lot of people in that leather industry. It's a $25 billion worth industry in 5 years. So people need to see how to harness that industry and tap in from that gold mine of the industry. So right now I'm working on a project which should be launched by, give or take, by March at most, but if I have my way by February, I should be done with that project. So that hub will cater for more trainings, and we'll do a whole lot of collaboration with other bigger brands, see how to bring so many people in the house and see how to set up that place so that it creates jobs for people. So that is what we're working at the moment, sir. Honestly, sir, that is one key area I'm lagging behind, because I have little or no connection with the government, honestly. All what you can see here are personal fund, personal effort built from blood, tears and hustle. But we still thank God, and we're still looking at the way how we can still collaborate with the government so that we become part of the government and see how we can employ so many people by God's grace. In the next 4 years, I will say watch out for the brand. It's a brand that will take over the northern Nigeria and Nigeria at large, and it's a brand that will be known in Africa and the world by God's grace. So that is just the way I always say, we're trying to build a global brand, and we're not going to stop by God's grace, neither are we going to surrender. We will make sure we'll take it to that level, sir, by God's grace. It's a two-way thing, actually. We shouldn't 100% rely on the government, because we the people constitute or make that government. So if we're helping ourselves, we are as good as helping the government. The government cannot do it all. We've always grown up with that mentality of wanting free things from the government. We've always grown up with that mentality of wanting the government to cater for our needs. We should rise up. There are so many opportunities lying, so many potentials lying on the street without people even knowing they have that potential. Back then, when I was a kid, if you told me I'll be a shoemaker, I would tell you no, it's not true. But when I started growing up and I started learning, I understood, okay, this is the way forward. The Americans will aspire to be like, the Europeans will aspire to be like. They are not just, their economy are not just built by the government. About a huge percentage of their economy is built by entrepreneurs. So we need to embrace that entrepreneurial journey. I believe Nigerian youth are very hardworking, like myself and others. We have so many people doing so many great things here in Kaduna and outside Kaduna. So we can do it, and we can build the future of our choice and dream and desire future. We should all stand up, work hard, look for a problem, create a solution, and believe you me, with no time you see you're growing bigger and faster than you thought, and you're employing more people under you. There is nothing that doesn't come with challenges. Just yesterday I even thought of quitting. Okay. So every day the challenges hits you, and there are times the more you grow, the bigger the challenges, and there are times you feel like quitting. It's allowed in business, but sometimes it just tells you to rest your head. You're over pushing, you're working too hard. Take a break, relax, get a good nap, eat good food, and let the worries go away, and after a while you see, you wake up and you find yourself motivated. So there are very lots of challenges that we will face on the way. So the challenges are much, but we won't allow the challenges break us, rather we'll make them make us. So it's those challenges that we've been facing that has been keeping us till the date. Sometimes when you think of quitting, you ask yourself, why did I even start? And when you remember the main reason why you started, it should keep you motivated, sir. One particular challenge that have always been there for us is acceptance. Actually, it's funny when you tell people these are made in Nigeria and they just look at it and they tell you it's quite expensive, and not knowing the value, the time and effort you've put in building that. Believe you me, the quality of what we were giving, it's 2 times or 3 times expensive than how they buy that foreign ones. But for the fact that they just see it is made in Nigeria, they believe the quality is substandard, they believe it's very. I have had so many customers like that when they ask you how much is for this and you tell them X or Y amount of money, it's too expensive. But because I have had that entrepreneurial skill and I had a little background on selling, I know how to sell. I convince them, okay, I try it, and at the end of the day you see them giving you testimonial that these things are way cheaper than we thought. So Nigeria should accept Nigeria product. We should support one another. We shouldn't see the price as the key reason why we should buy. We should always see it as a sacrifice to build the nation economy. That is why the motion of buy Nigeria to grow the naira has been a key issue in the country for a long while now. So please, we shouldn't just reason the price. We have various quality. I believe you me, there are so many Nigerians creating so many fantastic and qualitative products.
All right, that was Kasim Abdusalam Baba, the mathematician shoemaker based here in Kaduna. But we round off this episode of the show with the graphics of activities on the floor of the Nigerian Stock Exchange at the close of business. Many thanks indeed for watching. I am Umar Kaltungo. Good morning.